This will be the most expensive Thanksgiving and Christmas in the last 20 years. Labor shortages and disruptions in supply chains leading to sky-high food prices. Christmas and Thanksgiving dinners will be more expensive this year amid the dramatic rise in food prices, which exceeds the annual average of the past 20 years, according to the U.S. Consumer Price Index. I'll also be sharing ideas on how to get your price increase money back, which can be done if we do it judiciously. Welcome to Radio Labio's English program, where I share the most interesting notes of the day that you may not have had time to catch up on. I'm Juan Andres. I podcast in English and Spanish to ensure that all Latinos can have access to our programs regardless of what language they speak. Thank you for listening. The most recent price index shows that the price of food increased a lot from a year ago in all major grocery categories. The prices of cereals, bakery goods have gone up, non-alcoholic beverages, dairy products have increased, and it doesn't stop there. These increases exceed the 20-year average annual increase for food purchased at grocery stores. In other words, if you take the increases that have happened in the last 20 years and add them all up and average them out, take that number, add them all up, divide it by 20, you come up with an average. This 1 year, that increase is bigger than the 20-year average. That's huge. As Thanksgiving approaches, the Department of Agriculture expects there will be fewer frozen turkeys for sale, and they will cost more than in previous years. Winter storms, cyber attacks, and traffic jams at processing facilities have made it difficult to commercialize meat. Farmers in western states face constant water shortages. As of right now, we're in drought, and nearly half of the United States alfalfa hay acreage, an important livestock feed. Without hay, you have difficulty feeding those cows, is under severe drought conditions. Wheat stocks hit a 14-year low after a very, very small, tiny harvest in comparison to what is the norm. And economists at the American Farm Bureau Federation said that the only 8% of the total cost of food is related to agriculture. The rest is added as products move through the economy. For example, they increase it 8% at the agricultural level. Then they're going to increase a certain percentage to include transportation when it gets to transportation. And then when the distributor gets it off the truck, he has to add a little more as well. And then they take it to the retailer. The distributor delivers it in a truck to the retailer, and then the retailer has to jack up a little more. So that 8% now ends up being a lot more. It could be anywhere from 20 to 25%. You might turn around and hear on the news, oh, food increases at the agricultural level, the farm level has only increased 8%. Yeah, but what about all these other people that have to handle the food before it gets into my house and I can eat it? There's 4 or 5 people jacking up the price. The United States' carefully calibrated food supply chain is still reeling from the initial shocks felt at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. Before the pandemic, supply chains had become increasingly efficient with access to inexpensive transportation to move the goods around. Because of the pandemic, farmers had to let crops rot, dump excess milk, dumped it, and slaughtered chickens, killed the chickens, as markets disappeared at the start of the pandemic. meat packaging facilities are still facing these ongoing problems. Facilities closed or slowed down in response to COVID-19 outbreaks among employees working in tight spaces was another problem. That led to meat shortages and bottlenecks in processing capacity because a lot of them got sick because they were working so close to one another. But the rapid transition of meat supply chains from restaurants to grocery stores added costs along with additional safety measures to protect workers, according to the USDA report, and COVID-19 exacerbated the existing agricultural labor shortage. So here's a price increase because they had to go get COVID-19 equipment. So the workers wouldn't get sick and you'll still have the products you need at the grocery level. But you got to pay more because we got to buy that equipment. And if we don't do that, then they get sick and then you don't have it. Older or medically also vulnerable workers have to seek less risky work, adding to the labor shortages. Why? Remember that at the beginning of the pandemic and even today, they're saying that the at-risk community are seniors. So these people approaching that age of, and that age is changing, by the way. It's no longer 65. Some have to wait till 70, and eventually it'll get up all the way. I don't know when it's going to stop, but it'll get all the way up to, I suppose, 75 to be able to make ends meet. So that people are working longer. So now those seniors, when they get into the age of 55 to 75, that's a 20-year span. Well, all those workers are saying, hey, until this COVID-19 situation is remedied, and who knows what other kinds of pandemics are coming down the line, and when that happens and we're working so close to one another, I need less risky work where I'm not on top of people. So I'm getting out of this industry. And that creates more labor shortages. So all these things put together are just creating a very difficult situation for this holiday season. And how do you try to get back some of that money? And that's what I want to be discussing with you now. Giving you some ideas of how to weather this additional expenditure. You're going to go out and try and buy the same amount of food that you always bought, but you know that already you're going to the grocery store and you're not paying what you did 2 years ago. Forget it. I know because I shop. My wife is a little younger. She hasn't reached the level of being able to retire yet. So I do the shopping. And when I go out, let me tell you, from month to month, I see the change. And 6 months later, and I'm comparing, and I save some of these receipts, and I know that I'm buying more or less the same amount of articles, 36 articles, 48 articles. I keep track of those things, and I'm looking and I go, oh my goodness. In some cases, the cost of goods has gone up 50%. Could you imagine that? 2 years ago, I used to walk out with a whole grocery basket full of stuff. And I spent a little bit over 100, 125. Yeah, when I got to 150, I'm going, what? Today I measure myself and I walk through the grocery store. Now I'm a vegetarian, so I don't buy the inexpensive brands because they don't have them as vegetarian brands. They cost me a little more, but then I was buying them too. I've been a vegetarian for 40 years, so I was buying the same product. So I pay a little more, obviously, but still the difference was huge. And now I'm walking out and I'm being conservative. And I walk out with less articles, and I can't get under $200. And I'm not shopping at the most expensive grocery stores that import products from England and France and caviar. Forget that. I don't do those crazy things, you know? And we live well. I was a businessman, you know, and I was cautious. I'm glad I was. Can you imagine if I would have gone out and spent money like crazy? And now when everything is, this is all happening, and I'm going, gee, I wish I had that money then. And I saved the money and put it away, and we're living comfortably. But let me tell you, it's scary anyway, because I'm saying to myself, oh my gosh, I don't know if these savings are going to last me at the rate that these increases are happening. Anyway, here's some ideas. Let's talk about right now. Let's talk about this holiday season. What can you do to try to reduce that kind of spending? Well, I put down 10 things that I would do. As a matter of fact, let me go further and say 10 things that I'm pretty sure that I'm going to convince my wife to do. For example, number one, when the family gets together, and we do every holiday season, pick one of the houses, you know, her brother, sister, whatever, and it changes from year to year, and we all get together. And usually the family that's receiving us prepares all the food. Well, I'm suggesting as of right now that we do a potluck Thanksgiving and Christmas. That we assign, okay, you bring the buns and you bring the turkey, or you bring the potato salad and you bring the stuffing, and so on and so forth. And everyone brings and keeps that cost down. A potluck Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner. I think that's essential, because that's gonna shave off a chunk of money. Number two, at Christmas time, I'm going to suggest, and my wife is going to balk at this, I know she is, going to make a face. She wants to buy a gift for everyone. She's so splendid at Christmas time. I even get upset with her. Well, we're not in a pandemic situation. So this year, I'm sure that this suggestion she's going to make a big face about, but I'm going to say, Christmas gift exchange with a price limit. I mean, you know, let's get real here. Most of the Christmas gifts we get from family, we don't even end up using it. You know where they end up? A good 50% of them end up in the closet, and we wait for an event or a birthday of a non-family member, and then we'll take one of those gifts that obviously don't have Santa Claus face on it or a turkey on it, and wrap it up and give it away as a gift. So why spend all that money? You know, it's over the years. As a matter of fact, I've got like 6 shelves full of stuff that has just accumulated, because even if you give it, some of them away at birthdays, not that many birthdays to give away all those extra gifts. So not only am I going to turn around and suggest that we clean out that and give it away to the people in need, but that we have a gift exchange. And I'm going to mention this one. This is between you and me, because I got to whisper this, because you'll jump. Maybe we can even find some very old ones that have been in the shelves for about 7 or 8 years, and I can sneak them out and tell them, look, honey, I just found a gift exchange at the store, and save the money, because it's one of the ones that they won't remember. The family members won't remember that they gave it to us 8 years ago. Nah, I won't do that. I won't do that. But wait, something to think about, right? I mean, give me a break. Now, what do you do? It's the Christmas season. All right, we're talking Christmas night. What about the Christmas season? The kids are out of school. You know, they're going crazy running around the house. You don't want them running down the street without face masks, and there's certain events that you don't want them to go to Disneyland and stand up shoulder to shoulder with people. You don't know who's going to be next to you and whether they're sick or not. And kids, you got to remember, they're just starting to get vaccinated now. So between now and Christmas, I would say, I don't think that Not even 80% of the kids are still going to be unvaccinated. We're lucky if 20 or 25% of the kids are vaccinated between now and Christmas. Forget Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, probably none. So we don't want to attend anything shoulder to shoulder. So let's turn around and I've done this in the past, and my wife likes it. So we're not going to have a problem with that one. I'll take my phone and Google and say, free Christmas events around me. And brrr, even sites come up that specialize in the different events. And then we go through, and some say they're free, but when you get there, you got to buy this and to buy that and to buy the other. So we go through and we pick, and we'll pick one for each day. And if we're tired that one day, we just scratch that one off and don't go out because the kids are tired or we stay home. But we plan. If they're home for 15 days, excuse me, we'll put down 10, 12. Christmas, obviously, we're with the family. Thanksgiving, we're with the family. And then the day after Thanksgiving, for family members that are stayed with other family members, because you might have a son that can't come to your gathering because this year he's going to his wife's family's family. So the day after Christmas, or the 25th, you got to go take them their gifts, obviously. So those days you don't need to do this, but those other Christmas days that the kids are home, you'll go through and pick out. And trust me, there are tons of them. At any one point, I can go onto my phone and Google, and I'll find 25, 30 different free events. You can find expensive ones too, but free events. Like a great one here, for example, and depending on what part of the country you're in, but here I'm in California. And one of the great ones is the Christmas Boat Parade in the city of Newport Beach. And there you don't have to stand shoulder to shoulder, because the boats are going up and down the coast and into the harbor, and it's beautiful. I mean, some of them look. Let me say this to you: the White House at Christmas time looks like it's not decorated compared to some of those ships, some of those sailing boats and cruising boats, and I mean, it's really a great. If you want to spend a little money, you can even rent a gondola while the Christmas parade is going on, and you get the gondolier to take you around, the harbor as the boats are going by. Oh, that's such a wonderful thing. And I bet you, if you look on the internet, you can find some fabulous little things that you normally don't even bother looking for. And the majority of them are free. The Christmas parade is free. You don't have to have the gondola. You can walk up and down the harbor and the coast and see it. Okay? And then another one, skip the fresh Christmas tree this year, because there's going to be a Christmas tree shortage and they're going to get outrageously expensive. All right? So decorate without a Christmas tree. What do you need a Christmas tree for? All right? Put the wreaths. You have a plastic plant in the house? Hang your ornaments on your plastic plant. Why not? It's better than spending the money. You're going to spend it on food anyway throughout the Christmas. Your kids are home. They're going to be eating day and night, and you're paying more for the food. The least you can do is measure yourself accordingly. So skip the Christmas tree. If you have a artificial Christmas tree, well, you're lucky. Pull it out and put it up. But most of us that like a fresh tree because we like the smell, I don't have a fresh tree. I've had my artificial tree for about 30 years and it's still working perfectly well, and I don't have a squawk. And then I want it to smell like Christmas, so I'll go to Home Depot or any one of the places and get the spray that smells like Christmas tree and spray my Christmas tree every morning so it smells like a Christmas tree all day long. I got 2 little cans, spray cans. I don't know, I spend $7, $8, cost me $4 each. You can't get a fresh Christmas tree for $8 or $4. So it saves a ton of money. Anyway, and by the way, what you can do too, when you're making your list of free ceremonies around me, make sure you visit the highly decorated malls. I'm not talking about the strip mall with the grocery store and the post office down the street. There are big malls, right? You know who they are. They're big. And the names of the stores in there are even bigger. Gucci and doo-doo-doo-doo and yeah, and boo-boo-boo-boo. And even the names make you go, oh my God, I don't even want to walk in the store because just the name costs money. Looking at the name, they're going to charge me for looking. Those are the malls you want to go to. They're going to be highly decorated. They're in high traffic areas and usually upper middle class or upper class, that 10%. If you can sneak into the 10%, that rich 10% that control 80% of the wealth of the United States, go to their malls because they're going to be fully decorated. And the least you can do, hey, you guys are getting, Trump is giving you tax breaks. You made more money in the last year or two than you have in the past 50 years with all the breaks you had. I'm going to go to your mall now and I'm going to enjoy what you enjoy for free. And I'm going to walk into your stores and look at all the fancy stuff you buy and imagine how I would look if I would pay for those brands. And I might even try some on and have, if it's my wife, take her picture and then walk out, don't buy anything. All right? And then have that picture with a Gucci dress. I had to send to the family. I said, Merry belated Christmas in your Gucci dress. Oh my goodness. That's the kind of fun that you can have out there. And the malls are, oh man, are they decorated. They're decorated to the hilt. You couldn't buy enough stuff in your house compared to what they do a mall with. So make sure that you take advantage of that. And the Christmas parades, I don't know about, I usually like to go watch them, but they're your shoulder to shoulder. I'm going to watch them on television this year. I've always liked to go out to Christmas parades, especially the little hometown Christmas parades. They're so cute with the kids and the firefighters and the police and the da-da-da-da and all the people and cars. And they're just a bunch of fun, but I don't know if I want to be standing shoulder to shoulder watching that. I'm sure that there's going to be some cities that are going to do it and just space everybody, a little farther away, but I think I'm going to stay home on that one. Now, your kids are home, somebody's going to babysit them, and you have to go to work because you don't have 15 days off during Christmas or 12 days or 10 days. So during that Christmas season, or even afterwards, ride share. All right, make sure that you call each other, and 1 week a co-worker picks you up, and the next week you pick them up, and so on and so forth, and maybe 3 or 4 of you where you're rotating once every 4 or 5 days. That reduces gasoline costs by 75%. And if you're going to these free events around the house, and you happen to have a station wagon, make sure you call other members of the family so you don't go in 2-3 cars. You can pick them up and take them, and that also saves money. And the next one, because you're going to have 10 or 12 of them written down for the holiday season, so the next one, you go in their car and they pay for gas and so on and so forth. And now this one I really, 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 really love. And by the way, if you do these things, you're going to pick up all that money that you blew on Christmas, on a few little gifts and that Christmas food and everything that went up. If you do these things, you're going to get your money back for the holiday season. And maybe this will give you ideas of what you can do the rest of the year. Now, we always buy gifts for people that are not close family members. Our neighbor, our next door neighbor who's very nice, or co-workers at work. And usually you have to go buy cookies. Now you go to a discount store to buy cookies and they cost you $10, $15, $20 for, what? These used to cost $5.99. I'm paying $19.99 for a box of cookies. Well, you know what? Go get those cards. You know, when you give away gift cards, and you buy the card that the gift card goes into that says Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas, go buy some of those. And then go buy lottery tickets. All right? It depends how much you want. You know, you could give me, you have 20 friends that you want to give it to. You want to give them one lottery ticket to? Give me 20 single tickets of Lotto Fever or Big Lotto or whatever it's called in wherever you're at. Or you can say, give me two, they're $1 a piece or $2 a piece, whatever you want to spend. And put those instead of a gift card, because the gift cards are going to cost you $25. Who buys a $5 gift card? You know, your family's going to look at you, your friends are going to look at you and go, what? A $5 gift card? You put a lottery ticket in there, they're going to appreciate it more, because if they hit that jackpot, they're going to love you forever. And it's innovative, it's cute, you know, and it's wrapped up, it's in an envelope, and you pull out the card, and it's wishing them Merry Christmas, and they open it up, and now they have something to wait for. Okay, the lottery on Wednesday or the lottery on Friday, and maybe they'll get lucky and hit the big number. So I'm going to do that. I like that one a lot. And by the way, I thought of these. One of the ones we do every year that doesn't cost a lot of money, and I really, really, really love it, is La Posada. You know, the La Posada amongst Latin people, Mexicans and people from Latin America, is the flight from house to house that Mary and Joseph had to go through until they found a manger where he could be born. And that little trip of walking around and knocking on doors and everybody telling him to go take a hike, till somebody said, yeah, you can stay in the barn, you know, don't make a mess. And Jesus is born in the barn with the cows, and we put it under the table and we think it's a great deal. But I gotta tell you, Jesus and Mary, I'm Catholic, by the way. So I'm enjoying the story I'm telling you, but I'm also thinking, I don't think Mary and Jesus were all that happy. I mean, it was better than sleeping in the middle of the dirt road, you know, where thieves could come by and kick you and whatever. So, but I don't know about a baby being born in a haystack with cows mooing and horses and pooping and, oh, come on, give me a break. I mean, it's beautiful when we set it up, you know, the Christmas nativity scene. But when you stop to think of the consequences of that child being born under those conditions, you go, man, you really got to hand it to Joseph and Mary. That they kept that positive under these circumstances. Thank goodness it was in Israel, because it doesn't snow. Imagine if it would have happened in wintertime in a northern country. But anyway, getting back, there's enactments of La Posada in most Latino communities. Here in Los Angeles, there's a La Posada in Old Town called Olvera Street, which is across the street from the first Catholic Church mission, the first mission here in Los Angeles. And across the street were the merchants, and they're still there. Some of the houses are that old, 200-300 years old, and you can walk through them and the whole thing. But the thing that I like about it is on Christmas Eve, for a number of days, La Posada isn't just, it ends on the 24th. The 24th is the last, because that's when Jesus is born. But like 7 or 10 days before, they start every evening, they have this enactment. And they have music, and you sing along, and you walk with Mary, and I'm talking a lot of people. Now, I went last year, and everybody was pretty cool. I mean, they stayed like, everybody had masks and stayed an arm's length from one another. Or was it the year before? I think it was the year before, because last year I don't think they had it last year. This year, I think, will probably be like the year before, where everybody will have a good distance from one another. Or was the year before, but not I don't know. But I remember in the last 2 years, 1 year we didn't go because they didn't have it. And the year either prior or after, we were an arm's length from one another, and it worked out fine. If they do that this year, it's going to work great. But we get there like an hour earlier, and there's these little kiosks along the way, little restaurants down that old Olvera Street, which is 300 years old, cobblestone. And there's these little puestos. You can call them restaurants. I don't know. They look like taco stands, but they'll have little tables. You go in and you walk in like a restaurant, and you sit down, and they'll have 4 or 5 tables. They're tiny, and you order what you want. And they'll serve you on these. They look like redwood tables, with benches. But the food is superb. And if you get there early, you can eat. And just about when you're finished eating, the musicians start. They have the musicians, usually about 10 to 15 musicians, get up on a little stage, and they start singing, and you start to sing along with them, and that gets you in the mood. And then about 30, 40 minutes later, Mary and Joseph start coming out, and then the wise men, and then they'll drag a couple of animals behind them, and everybody starts following them down, and they stop and knock on a door, and they talk, and then they go, and you're doing this, and you're singing along the way. It is so much fun, and it's free. And those little places that you stop in, I mean, you can stop and eat there we eat there. There's 4 of us, me, my wife, and the 2 kids, and we eat there for 5, 10, 15, 20, $25, which today is very reasonable, because you could go to a fast food place for 4, and you're lucky if you get out for under $50. And what a wonderful Christmas. So now we get in the car when it's all over, and at the end they always have champurrado, which is a warm drink, cornmeal drink that tastes so good. And they give them out at the end of the Posada, and everybody drinks theirs. Then we go home. They're a little styrofoam cup of champurrado. Man, it's really... And by the time you get home on the 24th, you're already tired, because this is all over at 9 o'clock. You get home at 10 o'clock. The kids want to stay up till midnight, because in the Latin American community, you want to open your gifts up at midnight. That tradition. I don't know. I like the American tradition. Open up in the morning. Let's go to bed. And that way we can wake up in the morning and say Santa Claus brought it. Well, we have to say Santa Claus brought it the time we were at walking around with baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph, and he came down and left the gifts. So when we get home, they're there already. They went, we can't wait, we want to open them. So anyway, whatever you do, either way, it's a fabulous thing. Check it out in your area. If there's a La Posada, LaPosada, I highly recommend it. You're going to have a blast. It's inexpensive. Take the whole family, get in the cars and stack each other up and go have fun. This is really good stuff. And we're talking religious people. These are people who are Christians. They're not there to do harm. It's funny, but you know something? There's something about Latino thieves. I don't know why, but when it gets to being close to a church, or it gets close to being anything having to do with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, they behave themselves. I don't know why. It's weird. You very rarely, I don't think, I've been going to this Posada for decades. I've never heard of anyone complain of anything missing, which is amazing. But it's, and Latinos are very, very religious. Some people call it superstitious. I call it religious. So we think about, I suppose these thieves think about, hey, I'm gonna go up there on my last day and have to knock on the door, and Peter's gonna come out and say, hey, were you the guy that was stealing when they were celebrating my boss's birthday down there on the 24th, almost at midnight? And Lucifer! Hey, Lucifer, get over here. You want to take this guy, get him in the elevator and take him down to the bottom floor? So they think about that twice before they'll steal after and before. But they won't touch you that night, or if you're a church. I guarantee you that. Yeah. Anyway, enough already. I've talked till I'm blue in the face. Hey, enjoy yourselves. I'm Juan Andres. You can find us on more than 60 sites on the internet where you can listen to our podcast. Just ask Google Radio. Radio Labio and bingo will pop up. You can pick one of them, any one of them. We're on Pandora, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. We're all over the darn place. And on my behalf, as well as my colleague Yvonne Encinas and our manager and fellow on-air personality, Francisco Maldonado, thanks. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.